everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. Before we get started with this video, go ahead and click that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and turn on your bell notification so that you'll be notified every time I release a new video. Today, I want to share with you the Stamps of Life Club set for the month of December, and that is LoveBugs2Stamp, which you see here, and it is so absolutely adorable. It comes with the LoveBug stamp set that you see here. So you have the two love bugs, and notice that this one is flying, and it has a little happy mail in his hand or her hand, and this one is standing up with some happy mail. These are so adorable. These are perfect for Valentine's Day or anytime you want to just send a love card. Notice that you have some sentiments here, happy mail, sending you. This is a separate stamp, so you can say sending you happy mail, sending you bugs and hugs, sending you love, sending you a hug, so you can mix and match those. And then there's some separate heart stamps and a separate mail stamp. And then you do have the matching dies. So if you're in the stamp club, you're gonna get this stamp. If you are in the Die Hard club, you will get both your stamps and your matching dies. Now there is a companion set to this, and the companion set is the More LoveBugs2Stamp, and that also has the stamps with the matching dies. And this set has an additional love bug. Look how cute that is. It has little hearts all over his belly or her belly, and she's waving hello. And then it has these pretty flowers. You have these two flower stamps. Notice that this flower stamp has hearts for the petals. Isn't that gorgeous? And then you have another heart here. You have a sentiment, sorry, you've caught a bug, so you can use this for a get well card. And then this one says, you make me smile. I mean, you can just use these for simple hello cards as well. For my card today, I'm going to be making a slimline card, and I'm gonna be using this die from the Stamps of Life. It's the triple square drop-in die. And this die set, keep in mind, it's not a background die. Background dies, you usually have an outer piece that you can cut out with it to cut the background. This die set only comes with the pieces that you see here. So it has the drop-in piece plus these layering squares that you can use for the squares on your card. Now, in order to use this die, you have to use it in conjunction with the Slimline card die set. And there are two that you can choose from. You have your straight-edged Slimline card die set from the Stamps of Life, which comes with the large die to make the actual card base, plus the rectangle that layers on top. This is the piece that you would need in order to use this drop-in. So you would layer these two together just like this, and then you'd run that through your die cut machine with your cardstock, and it would actually cut this frame out for you. Now, this die has rounded corners, and whenever I see a die that has rounded corners, I always like to use a rounded corner die set to match. So this Stamps of Life also has the Slimline rounded corner die set for the Slimline, and it has the large die that cuts out the card base, and then it has the layering piece with the rounded corners that can go on the card front. So this is the piece that you would need to cut this out. So both of these pieces would work, whichever die set that you have, the straight edged or the rounded corners would work to cut this drop-in out. I'm gonna start out by using this drop-in just as a regular die. It's not going to cut the drop-in out of the cardstock, as I mentioned, but what I want to do is cut these squares out of my cardstock. So I am going to die cut this, and I'm going to just cut these squares out to use them for my stamped images. So I just want to show you that these are the pieces that I'm going to work with from the die cut that I just made. This piece, I did trim it down, but you can see it was not actually cut out of the paper. It was just cut into the paper because I did not use that large die around it, okay? So this is gonna be garbage. And right now I'm gonna worry about stamping some images on these squares. So I'm using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink and I'm stamping out two of the love bugs. One of the love bugs is from the LoveBugs2Stamp club set and the other one is from the More LoveBugs2Stamp set. And I'm using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to be doing some Copic coloring in just a few minutes. The other square is going to have one of the flowers and I chose to use the flowers with the heart petals. And now I'm going to go ahead and start coloring up with my alcohol markers, and I'm using some pink colors with the RV04 as my darkest. Then I go into my RV02 followed by my RV00 and then just blending all of that out with my RV000. And I'm using a color scheme of 3 different colors on these stamps. So I have pink, I have green, and I'm also going to be bringing in gray. So for the greens, I'm using the yellow-green combination, which is my YG03 as my darkest, and then I come in with my YG01 and my YG00. And the YG00 I only used on some of those greens. And the paper that I'm using is the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth cardstock, which is what I use for alcohol marker coloring. And for the grays, I'll be coming in with C4 as my darkest, C2, and then C0. So I'd use my C4 on just the edges, then come in with my C2, color a little bit over the end of the C4 and extend out more towards the middle, and then take the C0 all the way towards the middle of the belly. So underneath the love bug, I'm going to be doing a rotation of the gray, then the green, gray, and then green. And I just love the color combination of the gray, green, and pink together. I just think it looks so pretty. Now I do want to say that I was super excited when I saw these stamps for the first time because I thought that they were so adorable and I could completely see me using these on so many cards down the road. And I'm super excited for when the December card kit club comes out where I can use these stamps some more. So if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you do subscribe, because when the card kit video comes out, that's going to have a lot more of these cute little love bugs in it, and I'm super excited to see what that card kit entails and make some more cards with these sets. So when I color the wing, I start with the darkest color towards the body, and then I go with the mid-tone and all the way through to the lightest. So you can see the dark color at the very close part to the belly, and it fades out into light. And I always start with the dark color and then go a little bit over with the mid-tone and extend out, and do the same thing with each of the other colors that follow in that same color family. So the belly is going to be green, so I outline the belly in the YG03, which is my darkest, come in with my YG01 over top of the dark and extend into the center of the belly, and then go over with the light color and just continue to fade out to light. And then those little tiny hearts, I do try and do a two-tone blend even though they're really small, but one color would have been just fine as well. I do color the hands in the gray and then the hearts at the top in the green. Now for the flower, I am doing the green for the stem and the leaves, and then I will do the hearts in the pink. So I wanted to do every other petal in the dark color of pink and then every other petal in the lighter pink. So one of the petals, the darkest petal, is going to have the RV04 at the bottom, and then above that is going to have the RV02. And I'm going to do that for every other petal. And then the next set of petals will have the RV02 at the bottom, and then the RV00 as the mid-tone, and RV000 as the lightest color. And I'm going to go around the whole thing and do that pattern. So I'm going to have every other is going to be a dark petal, and then every other is going to be a lighter petal. And then I didn't even realize that there was an odd number of petals. So the last two petals I do are both going to be light petals. And at first I thought that it would be too noticeable, but after I color everything in, you can't even tell that two next to each other are both light. But I really love this color combination. I love how it's light, dark, light, dark. And then I'm going to use my grays on the thinner circle. And then for the large circle in the middle, I'm going to use my green. So I do my darkest green on the edge, come in with my mid-tone, followed by my light. I'm also going to come in with my YG05, and I'm just going to put some dark dots just to make it look like it has texture in the center. I went ahead and colored all of my images, and now I'm going to take my drop-in die with some kiwi cardstock. I'm going to place my drop-in inside of the large rounded rectangle die, and that's from the rounded rectangle slimline card die set. I'm going to make sure that the inside die is centered, and I'm going to add some washi tape to keep that in place, and then I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. So when that comes out of the die cut machine, these squares you can set aside. You don't need those squares. Just take your washi tape off of your dies and your cardstock, and this is what you're left with. So this is what the actual drop-in makes. And these pieces will be able to sit right inside there. So I'm going to be using my mini heart stencil, and I am going to put this right over top of my cardstock. I did put some pixie spray on the back so it would adhere better to my cardstock, but I also need to tape the stencil down. So I need to tape this down so that it stays put while I'm working with it. I am going to be using my candy ink, and I'm going to come over and just apply my ink blending tool right over top of this stencil to create these really pretty hearts on this cardstock. Now when you get to the end here, because the stencil is right over top of that cardstock, make sure your blending tool does not go past the stencil, because if it does, you're going to end up with some harsh lines of ink on your cardstock. I'm just going to cover up my ink real quick so that I can move all of this over. So just make sure your hearts are straight and then everything is aligned. You don't want the hearts overlapping either. So here I have some ink on the cardstock. I want to make sure that the next heart that I put down is not overlapping that heart. So we're just going to come back in and add the ink. Again, make sure you're not going past that stencil. Otherwise, if it's going over top of that cardstock, you're going to get a harsh line. So I'm just using my opposite hand here because I could see better, even though it's a little awkward to work with. So now we're ready to peel all of this back and take a look at our project, and that looks pretty good. Kind of not crazy about this little heart here, but that's okay. At least I don't have any harsh lines. That's the biggest thing. So that's going to be our layer for the top of our card. So we're going to go ahead and make the actual card base for my Slimline card. And because I used a rounded rectangle layering piece, I'm going to use the rounded rectangle Slimline card die set to make my card base. And I'm going to die cut this out of the candy cardstock. And this is what we get when that comes out of the die cut machine. So I'm going to fold this at the score lines and just smooth that down. And there's our card base. So I went ahead and stamped out a sentiment, sending you love. The sending you is in the black ink and the love is in the guava ink so that it stands out. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card front. And then I will plug these little pieces in. Isn't this adorable? And there is my finished card. I just love how this turned out. Those love bugs are so cute. Now I also want to mention that the triple square drop-in, it has these 3 dies that if you die cut them out, it will put a smaller die, so you can actually layer a smaller die on top of that. So depending on what look you're going for, you can layer some different color cardstock on top of that. So that is another option as well. But I chose just to stamp my images on the squares and make this a flat card. And I just love how this turned out. So if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.